Welcome to HoodChampionBoxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. Crawford to become inactive. That's what I think is going to happen with Terence Crawford if he can't get the Canelo fight. And the thing is, when Crawford disappears from the sport of boxing, once he finally calls it a day, I think you're going to see a situation kind of like what Triple G did. He made some good money, and then he just kind of went into an inactive kind of status. Now, with Terence Crawford, I understand a lot of people feel that it's not that he doesn't deserve a Canelo fight, they just feel like he's too small. I personally think with Terence Crawford and the skills he possesses, and with Canelo and the point he's at in his career, I get it. I understand Canelo being the favorite. And I think he should be the favorite when you just look at what he's accomplished and the size factor, just how many weight divisions Crawford has to bubble up. All right? I'm not delusional. But I just think with the point Canelo's at in his career and where Bud is at in his career, and based on these guys' recent performances, I think Crawford has the IQ, has the team, and has the ability to just avoid those big shots of Canelo. Now, some would disagree, and I can understand, because it takes a Bivol-like performance to just totally shut down a guy like Canelo, or even like what Mayweather did. But that Canelo wasn't this Canelo. We got to be fair. That Canelo learned a whole lot from that Mayweather fight. But the thing is, if Crawford doesn't get Canelo, I already said this before, what's this man's motivation? Why continue in a sport where you are going into fights where there's no motivation? So I think what's going to happen is Turki Al-Sheikh is going to be in a hard place, because he's promising Crawford big fights. And if for some reason Turki Al-Sheikh doesn't want to pull out that checkbook and write a ridiculous check to get Crawford the fight he wants, and if Crawford really doesn't want to do any more work at 154, I think Crawford's going to go inactive, because I think he's going to try to keep one foot in the door and one foot out. But I think once he goes and retires, he's back out there in Omaha, Nebraska, catching them bluegill and bass, fishing with his kids and supporting them with all their sports and their endeavors. I just don't think Crawford is going to, I don't think he's going to return. So the reason why I say all that is because I think people should appreciate this man while they got him. Because when he's gone, he's gone. And I really think Crawford is at a pivotal point in his career where he's either going to get the fights he wants and push a few more fights, because Crawford's not crazy. He knows there's big money out there for him. If Turki Al-Sheikh sets aside his recently developed stubbornness and pays for the fights that Crawford wants. But when you look at Crawford, right, I think it's important to just try to understand achievements. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people to this day say this man didn't really accomplish anything in boxing, even though he's a two-time undisputed. In what? 1, 2, 3, 4 different weight divisions? He was a champion in 4 different weight divisions, two-time undisputed. They still say he hasn't really accomplished much. And then when they do acknowledge that he's had championships in 4 divisions and become a two-time undisputed, they say, well, who'd he win the titles off? He became undisputed fighting who? He fought guys beyond their prime. C-level fighters. And don't get me wrong, I don't like any fighter more than the other. I think that's why when it comes to some people, they may get frustrated, because they want a channel that's going to come out here and just bash fighters just to bash them. That's not my style. But I'm not going to come out here and overly big up someone for doing something more so than someone else for doing similar things. I'm not doing that shit. I don't care. I just try to be straightforward. But I think with Crawford, he deserves more credit than what they're giving him. Now, with Crawford, I see he doesn't really make an effort to try to effectively communicate any of his accomplishments to anyone out there. You know, he rather showcase his skills in the ring. And also, with him showcasing his skills in the ring, that also demonstrates just how well he and his team gel and what he and his team can do when they sit back and put their minds together. There's a reason why that man is undefeated. There's a reason why he's accomplished what he's accomplished. But when he's gone, unfortunately, I think some of us are going to miss seeing him fight. But there are going to be many who just feel like, you know what? There was no significant achievements. He came in, had his hand in the cookie jar his whole career, and he made out like a bandit. And I just don't agree with that. Because I tell you what, for all these different boxing candidates out here, Crawford, even now at his, and I'm going to say this, advanced age, remains a serious challenge and obstacle for all these fighters. 154, even I say 147, and maybe even 160. And depending on who he fights at 168, could be a challenge up there. But definitely 154. Now there have been, you know, hundreds of boxers, man, to come and go. And when you look at what these guys accomplished, man, you know, they all do great stuff. There's been a lot of champions. There's been a lot of champions. But when you compare Crawford to a lot of the champions now and of the past, when you try to establish some key takeaways for their best achievements when compared to Terence Crawford's achievements, yo, there isn't much comparison. Now, that's my opinion. I know some people out there, they even finished the goddamn video already typing a comment. But that's just how I feel. I just think Crawford has more compelling achievements. And I think the right person, I thought somebody was going out my door just now. I think the right person, speaking on Crawford's behalf or even speaking on other fighters' behalf, can do a great job at trying to present the skills and the things, the experiences that those guys had that enabled them to get to the point to where they reached. But when it comes to them getting up in front of someone who's going to speak on behalf of Crawford, I don't think they can do it with all the confidence that. Hello? Yeah, what's up, little man? I'll be out there. You putting your mat down? I'll be out. You can lay down right there. I'll be done in about 5 minutes, okay? All right. I don't think they can do it with the confidence that maybe they would like to have. But the bottom line is, when it comes to Terence Crawford, I just think people need to ease up on all the BS. Because if they want to keep detracting from Crawford and his accomplishments, well, at least be more specific and take the emotion out of it. Because a champion is a champion, man. Whether you like it or I like it, the bottom line is a champion is a champion. A top 10 fighter is a top 10 fighter. A top 5 fighter is a top 5 fighter. It is what it is. Okay? And when you look at it that way, for me, it's concise in a way that I think it should entice engagement from most of the boxing fans to say, you know what? Maybe he does deserve more credit, because when Crawford's gone, who's going to be next to come out here and pretty much get in the ring and make all these great fighters, elite fighters, look average? And that's what Terence Crawford does to fighters. And that's what he's been doing since he's turned pro. And I'm not talking about any fantasy fight bullshit. We can talk that conversation all day. I'm talking about for what he had in front of him and the task at hand and what he was able to accomplish. Nobody really talks about this man's personal life. Success in his personal life. Success in his professional life. That led to a lot of achievements. You see the results. Everything he had to learn and then bring it all together and implement to achieve huge accomplishments in and out the ring. Now, when you talk about these guys and investing in real estate and being, smart with business decisions, you get dumbass fans that are like, oh, why are you watching his pocket? Why are you worrying about how much money he's making? Look, you stupid motherfuckers. You're just having a conversation. That's the one thing about this YouTube shit that don't make it fun. You got dumb motherfuckers that come out here and leave dumb comments. That's like with me, man. I just fucking hide people from the channel because I don't have, my PTSD flares up with the dumbasses. I can only imagine what some of these fighters got to deal with the way people troll them out here on Twitter and other spaces. But Crawford has a lot of strengths. Let me tell you something. With all the strengths that he has, speed, power, defense, the man can fight southpaw, orthodox, can counterpunch, can brawl, can free swing, can be a boxer puncher. If he has to, he has no problem being a boxer runner just to get space and reset. Crawford can do everything. Everything you want to see in your favorite fighter. Put them all together, and Crawford can do it all. And that's just amazing. Always demonstrating his abilities in the ring with every fight. Understanding what needs to be done. And that's just a lot of fighters may understand what needs to be done, but they can't execute. And some of them may have an idea what the job requires, but they're not qualified, and that's their trainer's fault. You can't say that about Bomac. You can't say that about the other guys in this camp. They have Crawford squared away every time. But anyway, man, I just wish somebody, if they're going to sit here and really continue to just beat and break down Terence Crawford and his achievements, at least try to describe the situation that makes you feel that, as far as what Crawford did or didn't do, that makes you feel like, you know what, he doesn't deserve to be put in that position as the #1 pound-for-pound fighter in the world. And from there, say what you think he should have done, or the things that you think Crawford needed to do to earn that position if you disagree. Because right now, I'm just seeing a lot of people taking action to just complain. It's just a bunch of emotions. Anyway, man, this man's achieved a lot, and achievements are the building blocks that I think for Terence Crawford, when he looks at himself, every fight was just another building block to help him really take a look at himself and to construct a sense of success. And I think that's why Crawford doesn't really say much about people trying to say negative things about him. Because all of his achievements inside the ring in particular were just building blocks to enable him to construct a sense of himself as a successful fighter and one of the best pound for pound. And I really think those achievements that he's accomplished, it should matter most to only one person, and that's him. At the end of the day, that's what should matter. If your effort is greater, your reward should be greater. And his rewards have been great because his effort has been great, and his team's effort has been great. It's simple. Because believe you me, you've seen where his efforts were greater and his reward wasn't so great as far as getting the fighters that he wanted. And when that happens, what happens? Guys get miserable. They get upset. Morale diminishes in their fight camp. Their teams are depressed. And you've seen that with Crawford throughout his career. He wants big fights. Then you have a promoter out there that really doesn't work with you. That's unfortunate. Look at Crawford now. Anyway, man, I just think people should appreciate that man while he's here, because I think Crawford, I just have a feeling if he doesn't get that big fight, I put it to you this way, if Crawford retires right now, I know the Crawford haters are going to say something slick, but if Crawford retires right now, then what? Who we going to watch? Yeah, Virgil Ortiz is cool, but he ain't Crawford. Earl Spence is cool, but I don't think he will ever be a tenth of what he was before the car accident. Fundora is cool. Tim Tszyu, I like him a lot, but he ain't Crawford. Boots, is bubbling up, but he ain't Crawford. Brian Norman Jr. ain't Crawford. How many Canelo fights we gonna watch where they suck your eyeballs out with them $89.99 for goddamn pay-per-view? Gervonta Davis is cool. But really, that's Terence Crawford's name comes up. You can see that there's some excitement. You want to see what he's going to do in that ring. Floyd Mayweather disappeared, boxing got a little bit crazy. Wasn't the same without Floyd. Wasn't the same without De La Hoya. I'm not saying that it wasn't someone to come along and carry the sport. But if Terence Crawford goes away, who's going to carry the sport? I'm not saying Gervonta ain't doing a good job. I'm not saying that. But I'm just saying someone who's a two-time undisputed champion in 4 weight classes where people out here saying, people are afraid to bet against him. I don't know anybody out here who's excited or ambitious to go out here and put money against Terence Crawford. No one. Anyway, I think Terence Crawford's greatest achievement, just seeing how, and remember, I used to watch Crawford just like y'all, but I never talked a lot about him. I talk a lot about him now because I realize that this man just doesn't get treated fairly. I mean, I like jokes, right? I'm always joking in my videos, but who really gonna come out here and call this man ugly? Talk about his wife, talk about his children. Like, what's the deal, man? Shit, I honestly don't get it. This man, I think there's a lot to be emulated when it comes to this guy, Terence Crawford. People just want to sit here, man, and poke at this guy. There's a lot of depth to that dude. Y'all people think he's stupid. That man not stupid. That man is brilliant. That shit, I just don't get it, man. But anyway, I think when Crawford sits back and looks at everything, he's going to say, you know what his greatest achievement was his children, his wife and his children. And then when it comes to his professional career, he's going to say, you know what, my greatest achievement was making the decision after everything Top Rank did for me. I appreciate it, but betting on myself. And just having that self-motivation and recognizing that he had to learn a whole lot before he made his move out of Top Rank, and then being okay with being uncomfortable and trying to figure some things out on his own, because he didn't really get much help. Once he left Top Rank, you can see he was kind of in the breeze. I do think he had a little connection to Saudi and shit, and I think he had some people out there trying to advise him and guide him. But ain't nothing wrong with that if you got people who are trying to help you. But I just think, man, boxing is so fast-paced. The business of boxing is so fast-paced. And there really was no opportunity for Crawford to leave Top Rank and then go through like a 6 or 8 month annual, a 1 year training program. You know what I'm saying? He just had to get out there and just hot wing it, and started to understand, you know, the language and understand the business from a self promoter, opposed to just a fighter. And I think he's passed with flying colors. And I do think having, you know, Turki Al-Sheikh having that interest in him, and the fact that Turki Al-Sheikh had reached out to him a while ago, I do think that helped Terence Crawford with his transition from Top Rank and transitioning from the Earl Spence fight and transitioning from being inactive, because he didn't get the Earl Spence rematch. I think that helped tremendously. But that being said, if Turki Al-Sheikh can't get him the fight he wants, I think Crawford's going to retire. If he doesn't retire, he may see about kind of hanging on to see if there's a big opportunity, but he may go into an inactive status and just eventually kind of fizzle out just like Triple G. Look, man, the boxing world is dynamic. It doesn't matter how much, you know, we think we know, how much knowledge we think we have with all these, you know, weekly and daily and hourly updates, man, that we get off of social media from people who are knowledgeable, other guys who don't know a fucking thing. But it doesn't matter what we think about our knowledge. I just think I would like to just propose a question for any and everyone out here, man. You know, what happens once Terence Crawford retires from the sport? What y'all gonna do then? Because Crawford gives us a whole lot to talk about, doesn't he? Anyway, y'all keep cool. I'm in the breeze.